we are going to describe how this sarcomere contracts. We'll do it simply at first, and then we'll add in some more detail. There is a really good animation right here. It's only 3 minutes long. We'll look at part of it as I'm recording this video, but I would recommend that you watch the whole thing. Okay, so the big picture of how a sarcomere contracts is that these myosin heads that you are seeing, and here they are up close, will reach up and grab what we call the actin active sites, okay, also called myosin binding sites. And when they do that, they are going to pull, and when they pull, they are going to shorten the entire sarcomere. So what's going to happen is myosin heads will reach up and grab the actin active sites and pull. And as they pull, the Z lines will move closer to one another. Now, the important thing about this is called the sliding filament theory, because the thing I want you to understand is that the myosin does not change length. It stays where it is, okay? But the actin also doesn't change length. It just slides past the myosin. So this is called the sliding filament theory of muscle contraction, because the myosin reaches up and grabs the actin and pulls, and the thin and thick filaments slide past one another. Now, when the actin and the myosin are bound to one another, when the myosin head reaches up and grabs the actin active site, it is called a crossbridge. So I want to show you this. Here's a little myosin head, and it's reaching up and it's attaching to the actin active site. When that occurs, that is what's called a crossbridge. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to look at how the crossbridge cycling actually works. So let me give you a preview, and we're going to go through it relatively simply at first, and then we will add in the ATP, and then it gets a little bit more complicated. This is something that it will really help when you get into class and actually can do it yourself. I'll make you flop around your arms and things like that. It will actually make it really stick. So the steps in crossbridge cycling. So I'm going to lead you through it with this image, and then I'm going to show you an animation, and then we'll add in the ATP the next time. Okay, so this is a cycle. It's a cycle watching what happens at a single crossbridge, okay? Because the crossbridges actually cycle. So it's not actually going to be the myosin head reaches up and grabs the actin active site and pulls, and in one fell swoop, the entire sarcomere narrows. What it really is one myosin head reaches up and grabs the actin active site and pulls, and then it resets and grabs the next one, and then it resets and grabs the next one. So if you're doing this on both sides, you're really ratcheting the thing closer together. You're going tick, 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 tick. Okay, so crossbridge cycle. Don't pay attention to the ATP and ADP the first time. What is going to happen is the myosin head is going to reach up and grab the actin active site to form a crossbridge. We're going to call this crossbridge formation, okay? And then what's going to happen is the head of the myosin is going to pivot. That's called the power stroke, and you're seeing it in number 2 right here, okay? And then what happens is you are going to have to release the crossbridge and reposition for the next time, okay? So release the crossbridge, release it, and then reposition it for the next time, okay? So one more time. What we are going to do is crossbridge formation, okay, power stroke, release, reposition. Crossbridge formation, power stroke, release, reposition, okay? So that is the crossbridge cycle. Now, what I'm going to have to add in just a second is where the ATP is used. But first, let's give you a visual of the actual crossbridge cycle. And then we'll add in the ATP and watch it again. I'll teach you about the calcium in just a second. Crossbridge formation, power stroke, release, reposition. Okay. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to add in where the ATP is used, because you guys, of course, know that skeletal muscle contraction is really, really energetically expensive. And what I would think when I was looking at this is that the ATP might be used for the power stroke when you're doing this, but actually that's not where the ATP is used. Interestingly, the ATP is actually used to position the myosin head so that it's in the high energy position. Because I want you to think of this whole myosin head thing like a catapult. So where do you put energy into a catapult or a trebuchet? Do you put the energy in when you are releasing it, or do you put the energy in when you're positioning it? So you have to really push it down, and that's when you put the energy in. So what happens is the energy is actually put in right here where you get that catapult set. And then in order to actually release it, all you have to do is pull the pin, and then you get this power stroke for free. So I'll show you this in just a second. Okay, so we are going to already have positioned the catapult. So what we did is we put the myosin head in the high energy position. Okay, so it's in the high energy position right here. Okay, and then as soon as we are able to, the myosin head will bond to the actin active site, and you get that for free because it just wants to bind, and as soon as it has the opportunity to do so, it's going to do so. So I am actually going to form Crossbridge formation. That's free. That doesn't cost me any ATP at all, and I'm going to go through this twice so that you'll actually get it, and then we'll watch the animation as well. This mouse is driving me crazy. Okay. So, this is free. Crossbridge formation is free. And then how do I let loose the catapult? I actually just have an inorganic phosphate that falls off. And remember, when you use ATP, it becomes ADP plus phosphate. So this is used ATP. So the pin for the catapult is the phosphate. And as soon as that falls off, I get the power stroke for free because this was already ready to go. It's the phosphate that was holding it off. So the phosphate falls off, inorganic phosphate falls off, and then I get my power stroke for free. Okay. At the end of the power stroke, the ADP falls off. ADP falls off, okay? And now I have a binding site for more ATP to come in. So the ATP now binds to the myosin head. When the ATP binds, it will release the myosin head from the actin. So I released, but I haven't repositioned it so that it's ready for another catapult again. What you have to do is you have to hydrolyze the ATP to ADP plus phosphate. So that's using the energy, and that gets the thing back into position, the high energy position. Okay, and then we start the whole damn process over again. Okay, now I can reach up and grab the next myosin head. Okay, Crossbridge formation is free. Okay, now how do I actually release the power stroke? Phosphate falls off. I get my power stroke. At the end of the power stroke, the ADP falls off. I'm stuck attached to the actin until ATP binds. So ATP will release it, myosin from actin. It's not back in the high energy position yet until you hydrolyze ATP to ADP plus phosphate. Okay, so this is called cross-bridge cycling. Now let's look at the animation of the same thing. Ready? And he's got 2 more proteins in here that I haven't taught you about, but we'll learn about them in just a second.
As you've just seen, cross-bridge cycling is a continuous event. For the purposes of easier understanding, however, let's break it down into 6 separate steps. 1. The influx of calcium, triggering the exposure of binding sites on actin.
We haven't talked about that yet.
2. The binding of myosin to actin.
That's where we start.
3. The power stroke of the myosin head that causes the sliding of the thin filaments. 4. The binding of ATP to the myosin head, which results in the myosin head disconnecting from actin. 5. The hydrolysis of ATP, which leads to the re-energizing and repositioning of the myosin head. 6. The transport of calcium ions back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum.
Okay, we haven't done step 1 or step 6 yet, but we will, so you can go ahead and pay attention and consider it a preview.
The first step is exposing actin's binding sites. When a muscle cell is stimulated, the action potential brings about the release of calcium ions from the terminal cisternae of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium ions flood into the cytosol and bind to the troponin. This causes tropomyosin to shift, exposing the binding sites on actin.
When a binding site on actin is exposed, an energized myosin head can bind to it, forming a crossbridge.
That's crossbridge formation. That's free.
The binding of myosin to actin brings about a change in the conformation of the myosin head, resulting in the release of ADP and inorganic phosphate.
Phosphate first, though.
At the same time, the myosin head flexes, pulling the thin filament inward toward the center of the sarcomere.
The only thing that he didn't really clarify here is the phosphate falls off, then the power stroke, then the ADP falls off, just so you don't get confused when you're looking at this. It's correct right here.
Movement is called the power stroke.
Power stroke.
The chemical energy of ATP has been transformed into the mechanical energy of a muscle cell contraction. In order to disconnect the myosin head from actin, an ATP molecule must bind to its site on the myosin head.
That releases it.
The release of the myosin head from actin triggers the hydrolysis of the ATP molecule into ADP and inorganic phosphate. Energy is transferred from ATP to the myosin head, which returns to its high-energy conformation. In the final step, calcium...
Okay, and we'll talk about the final step later. So basically what you just got to see was the visual. And one more time with crossbridge formation. Crossbridge formation is free. That's step one that you're seeing. That's crossbridge formation. Phosphate falls off, power stroke. End of power stroke, ADP falls off. I'm still stuck on actin unless ATP binds, which will cause the release of the crossbridge. And then I need to get back to the re-energized position, and that is the hydrolysis of ATP that re-energizes my catapult. This is crossbridge cycling. And importantly, I want you to understand that crossbridge cycling will be happening not just at one myosin head, but at every single one of these myosin heads, yeah? And remember that the myofibril is actually not even two-dimensional, it's three-dimensional. So we will be doing that all along the entire myofibril and all along the thickness of the myofibril. You will be going at each individual myosin head. And every single time you do that, the whole cycle requires one ATP. So I hope you can extrapolate to figure out why the heck skeletal muscle contraction is so incredibly energetically expensive. Because each individual crossbridge is going to go multiple times, and then there's tons of them per myofibril, and there's tons of myofibrils per muscle fiber, and there's tons of muscle fibers per muscle. So this is a really incredibly energetically expensive process. Okay, so the notes that I want to point out to you, and then I'm going to point out this interactive activity as well. The notes are that if you are looking at how this impacts a sarcomere, when you are doing this process, the sarcomere is going to shorten. Yes, the Z lines are going to move closer to one another. But again, the length of the myosin doesn't change and the length of actin doesn't change. They just slide past one another. The H zone and the I band may completely disappear during contraction, but the length of the A band stays constant because it pulls everything into the A band. So the more of this you do, the more contraction strength you can generate. Now I want to point out an interactive activity. I hope it will work for you guys. It usually requires a paid, but I think I got a link that might work for you. So this is an interactive activity with interactive physiology that comes with a new textbook, but I'm hoping this will work for you. It is fantastic because it's not just a passive animation to watch. It will have you doing activities. So you will identify structures of the sarcomere. Wait, let's see, go back. And then you will actually change the length of the sarcomere. You will be doing the crossbridge cycling. So if you look at this one, question 1 of 7, select the image that shows crossbridge formation with the myosin head in its high energy state prior to the power stroke. So we need to have myosin with It's ADP and phosphate bound. So I'm thinking of that one. Oh, I got it wrong. Shown as Crossbridge. Oh, it's not formed a Crossbridge yet. Prior to the power stroke. So I love this animation, this process, because it will actually redirect you. I'm not quite sure what it's asking here. Right before the power stroke. Okay, got it. Just misunderstood the question. So the entire thing is a really, really good thing to go through, and you will miss it and they will redirect you and all of that. So I think that's a really good use of your time. I'm going to stop there, and then we'll actually go back in now and add in how the nervous system is going to cause sarcomere contraction. So we'll add in all the calcium and stuff.